This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Here are Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
And good Saturday morning. It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk on this beautiful state championship Saturday with the coach, Ed Young. I am Matt Hatfield, always. Hope you are enjoying your sports weekend on this Saturday in December. We are 16 days away from the holiday season and Christmas time. The coach, Ed Young's got his buddy Vinny with him and the bobblehead. Good morning, sir, and congratulations. You got yourself a win last night. It's always better to be with you when you're in a cheery mood after a win than when you're in a grumpy, angry, not so pleasant mood after a loss. You beat your Suffolk rival Lakeland last night, huh?
Yeah, a little different feel than it was from last Saturday after shellacking by the other crosstown rival, Kings Fort. It was a much more closer game last night with Lakeland, much more longer tradition rivalry with Lakeland, as both schools were born the same year, 1990. So a close game. I ended up winning 57-44, and always feels good to get a win.
Yeah, for sure. And I want to hit on something that's a little bit of a not so pleasant note that we got the news of yesterday, Ed, as it came out that we lost a great one in the state of Virginia when it comes to basketball. The legendary Paul Webb, passing away at the age of 94, was the basketball coach many years ago, and a legendary one at Old Dominion. Randolph-Macon also coached there to great heights. And, so many kids and coaches, and you're one of them that's been involved. You hear the Paul Webb basketball camp, and just the name Paul Webb, his son Eddie Webb, who for many years was the director of the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame. And lose a great one. It's always tough. We talked about it last week with Daryl Cummings, the tennis expert, if you will, in the Hampton Roads area. And Paul Webb lived a wonderful life. He was a gentleman. And, I think when we all leave, whether it's you or me, and I don't know that I can say this. I wish I probably could, but I've never heard a bad thing said about Paul Webb, like ever. He was just a wonderful guy and so well respected, always cordial and friendly. Your memories of a guy who was certainly a pioneer and one of the best coaches. And when he got to ODU in the 1970s, took over for the late, great Sonny Allen, and took the Monarchs to a couple of Division II Final Fours. And, he did a really good job as they made that first transition to Division I. What do you remember about Paul Webb and just your interactions with him, if you could share?
Yeah, when I found out the news, it was devastating. Paul was one of the great ambassadors to the game of basketball. And when I say ambassador, you're right. Most people I've never met a person along my trails in terms of like going to Final Four. I've been to nine Final Fours. And every time you mention Paul Webb, everybody just has great things to say about him. Never really saw him angry in public. Of course, he got coaches mad on sideline, as all of us coaches do to some degree, but his was not as theatrical as some coaches. And it's a tough loss because Paul was one of those guys I expected to live forever because he was that important that we couldn't do without him. I mean, we talk about the Paul Webb camps, but that was a minor thing of him in terms of he just always had something good to say about people. He knew the game, very knowledgeable about the game. Wasn't egotistical about the game, which some coaches are at that level. He had a lot of big wins in his career, championships. But just the way he was about how he was as an individual person. I don't mark Paul Webb as a coach, even though he was tremendous. Just the person he was and how he reached out to people and talked to people and asked you how you're doing and how's your team and come and watch a game. One of the first coaches I got to meet when I first came here, when I moved from Pennsylvania years and years and years ago, went to his practices as well as the games. And that's just a tremendous loss.
It really is. Paul Webb, rest in peace. Our thoughts and prayers to everyone that knew him so well and were close to the family. We send our condolences to Eddie and the entire Old Dominion family. Randolph-Macon, 196 wins at Old Dominion. He had 511 career victories. Upset number 1 DePaul. You remember that in Chicago. Number 3 Syracuse at Scope. I think he retired with, it was like the 5th most college basketball victories. But rest in peace. He was a great one, and will be so sorely missed. And he loved Old Dominion, and you don't get too many coaches like him that was so genuine to that degree. And people saw him all the time at games, even in his 90s. He was moving around quite well for someone in his 90s there towards the end, Ed.
Yeah, he was. A lot of people don't know that he was that old, but he was out see games. He never wanted to sit. When he decided to retire, he made a comment that he's just starting another phase. He has no recollections about sitting back and going, especially when he lost his tremendous wife of 70 years a couple of years ago. He still would get out and about, still attend his camp, and he's just an inspiration to so many people. And like I said, in terms of the coaching world, he was probably our greatest ambassador as to how he forwarded the game to people, and how you should handle yourself as a coach, let alone a person. So again, just an absolute tremendous loss.
It is state championship Saturday here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to our Virginia Beach Sportsplex YouTube channel. You can interact with us. I've got the link up on virginiapreps.com, our front page. It's also streaming on not just the Sportsplex YouTube channel, but as well as on X or Twitter at 757 Sports Talk. You can find it on Facebook. You can find Ed Young on Facebook. Give him a hard time. Find me on Facebook. I also got a link to the StreamYard share link. You can join us on the show on the screen live, on the screen live, if you will, or the stream live. Either one. Don't scream at us. You can join the stream and the
scream. Don't scream.
Don't scream. You'll hurt Ed's ears and you'll hurt mine. That's why I wear headphones. He doesn't. He didn't need them.
We've had enough people scream at us for different reasons over the years, so we don't need any more. And I do need more likes, I guess, on Facebook. I guess that's what the kids say. Got to get likes because Hatfield's beat me by like 500. So
hey, do you love the piano in my hotel? Look at that! Look at that piano. Is that cool or what?
All right, go ahead and play a few bars, though. That's what I want to see.
Well, listen, you didn't want me to sing in Delaware, as you got on me about singing. I had a trip with the OD women. By the way, 8-0 rolling Delisha Milton Jones's crew. We're gonna give her a shout out. We might get her on the show soon, by the way.
Yeah, we got to do that.
We're also going to effort some other special guests on the show. We're also going to probably get on soon. Tim Sparks, Hampton Christian basketball. He's been bugging me about coming on. We'll get Timmy on the show. He will give you a virtual handshake, Ed. I know you love Tim out there. And
Tim's a great guy. He's going to be well known for the man that started COVID.
No, he's not. Why would you say that? Rudy Gobert was the one that did that. Why would you say that? That's not nice.
Yeah, but Tim shakes
people
more
will
hands.
think you're being serious about that. They don't think you're joking. They think you're serious. So don't say that.
Tim shakes more hands than 10 politicians in a room at the same time.
That's true.
Yeah, and I think
you counted them up one time at a game at Kellum High School. And speaking of Kellum High School, as I get ready, you can finish your thought in a second. Speaking of Kellum High School, we're going to hear from Hassel, Norman Hassel, who got a win at his castle over Green Run this week. So we're going to hear from him a little bit later on. Our first basketball playback on 757 Saturday Sports Talk. We were notorious for those on our radio show. We're bringing them to you on the stream and the 757 Sports Talk podcast, which is available archived as well on Virginia Preps, the Sportsplex YouTube channel. Like, share, and subscribe to that. You'll get notifications when we go live, when everybody goes live with the podcast. Mine on the Hash with Hatfield, the field hockey podcast, live events like Virginia Beach Mustangs football, high school football, you name it. We've got it. We'll hear from Bruce Pearl, his picks for the NFL selections. And I'm so mad at you, speaking of NFL picks, because I went 0-3 last week. You went 3-0 for the second straight week. I want to know who your secret informant is. You have an informant, just like those people on Miami Vice, those informants they talk about, like Crockett and Tubbs had informants. You have an informant that's helping you. And it's not Vinny. Don't shake your little bobblehead. It's not him. And Bob Lanham and me are, by the way, Bob is out there, I know, watching the show. He'll probably comment here in a second. I know he's very disgusted because his Browns took an L and I had the over-under in that game and you won. And it was just very disgraceful and distasteful. And we don't like you very much. You are Vinny. I'll rip that bobblehead up right now. So upset.
Well, that bobblehead's a lot of money, so we can't rip the bobblehead up. Yeah, I just had a few insiders finally get. And by the way, let me just say this. That was my third 3-0 in the last 5 weeks, if I'm not mistaken. back
Oh,
to
you're
back.
keeping track of it. Okay, nice to know.
Yeah, and I don't know. I got to make it run. Did I catch you yet or not? Or I got to wait.
No, you passed me. I'm very upset about that. You've even passed me. This
Well,
is the first time in 3 years you passed me in NFL picks.
Well, you're still ahead of me in the the high school picks, and today's it. So we find out today. And I did take some. I went against you in a couple picks on purpose to see if I can try to catch you.
On purpose. We'll get to those games as well. A lot to do here on this edition of 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Ed is back in Suffolk, Virginia. He's got a basketball game today. Where are you playing at, by the way, today?
Playing over Deep Creek, the Deep Creek Showcase. We're playing Gloucester at 2:30. I think there's 5 games starting at 12:30.
All right.
We're the second game.
All right. And I'm up in Charlottesville getting ready to call the Class 6 and Class 5 championship games on the NFHS Network at UVA. We've got team coverage all over the state. We've got out at Salem today. We've got we mentioned the aforementioned Bob Lanham taking photos. We got Marcel Mason out there, Robert Anderson, Ray Cox, Rodney Young. They're covering the Class 1 and Class 2 title games, which as you see them scroll across our ticker, you have 7-time reigning Class 1 champ Riverhead's trying to beat undefeated Radford in Class 2. You have Class 1 title game that follows that with Essex, who's undefeated, taking on Galax, the Maroon Tide, who are 10-4. We've got Will Garlick out in Lynchburg at Liberty University, along with Caitlin Olson taking photos for us there for Virginia Preps. You've got Phoebus trying to get the three-peat. They move up from Class 3 to Class 4. You also have the Phantoms taking on Salem with 2 All-Americans we'll talk about in Chris Cole and Peyton Lewis. Cole going to Georgia as a linebacker. Lewis going to Tennessee. We'll talk about the SEC's other school in Alabama later on in the show because Ed has a rant about that, and I will debunk him and tell him why he's wrong as the bowl games coming up beyond the Army-Navy game today in Foxborough come across your ticker. And I'm up in Charlottesville. We've got myself, Danny Lewis, writing Ray Williams, taking great photos for us at Scott Stadium for the Double Dip, which features at 11:30. Freedom of Woodbridge trying to go back-to-back in a belly-to-belly, also trying to go back-to-back, moving up from Class 5 as Highland Springs. That's an 11:30 kickoff. Then at 5 o'clock, undefeated Maury, who is number one in a lot of people's eyes across the state, regardless of classifications, taking on Stonebridge, an arch nemesis who's beaten them before as recent as 2 years ago at Old Dominion, breaking their hearts on the Jacob Thomas touchdown pass to Zeke Wimbush on the final play at Old Dominion. Maury won the first encounter at Hampton U in 2019. Stonebridge got the second encounter, the rematch at ODU. Now the scene shifts to Charlottesville today in UVA for the rubber match between those 2 heavyweights. And I'm sure we'll hear from Daryl at some point, maybe not today's show, future episodes, as he tells everybody to go back to Portsmouth. And by the way, I'm here at my hotel and I got my muffin. Can you see my muffin? There it is. I got my chocolate muffin. Look at that. Look at that.
That's about your third muffin of the morning?
Hey, listen, all you need to know is,
to be fair to you creatures, now my patience has reached its end. Tell me, or I'll...
No, not the buttons. Not my gumdrop buttons.
All right, then. Who's hiding them?
Okay, I'll tell you. Do you know the Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man.
Yes, I know the Muffin Man. Who lives on Drury Lane?
Well, she's married to the Muffin Man.
The Muffin Man?
The Muffin Man!
She's married to the Muffin Man.
that's right. I'm the Muffin Man, baby. I got the muffins here in Charlottesville.
I'm almost speechless, which is rare.
You should be.
You show a clip with a little talking.
You've never seen that movie. You've never seen Shrek. I'm still stunned by that.
And he had no legs. Now,
That's almost as bad as my guy Jimbo never seen Casino or Goodfellas. That's terrible.
Yeah, it's because he's watching too much other stuff.
Well, we know what he's watching.
But the gingerbread man had no legs. Now, do you know how that's going to hurt so many little kids when they see that clip? Or
do you know how much the kids are hurt when you spew some of the things you spew? Did you give that any thought?
But when I spew what needs to be spewed, it's a PG-13 situation. Things aren't allowed.
It's debatable. It's debatable.
The Muffin Man.
We're going to also try to squeeze in some fact or fiction, but we've got a lot to do here on this edition of 757 Saturday Sports Talk, and we've got to pay some bills. So you'll hear from some of the great sponsors that make this all possible for us at the Plex. So we will take a time out and come back with more. With the Coach Ed Young, I'm Matt Hatfield. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel on the Virginia Beach Sportsplex, and we'll be back in just a moment. Stay tuned.
I grew up here. I know this town. I know the people here. More important, they know me. As a banker at Town Bank, we become part of the communities we serve. The people who bank with us, our members, know us. When you bank with Town Bank, you'll know your banker. You'll know you can reach us, and you'll know we're here for you.
That's the DQ Cheeseburger Lovers Deal. 2 singles for $5 or 2 doubles for $7 for a limited time. So, how is it? Deal this good speaks for itself, I guess. DQ, happy tastes good.
Treat yourself to a visit to the Drip Bar, IV hydration and vitamin therapy in Virginia Beach. Boost your immunity, increase your energy, and promote anti-aging with our personalized treatments designed to ensure efficient nutrition absorption to rejuvenate your mind and body. Come see our chic and relaxing day spa for yourself today. We welcome walk-ins and appointments. Our medical professionals will help you achieve your best health and answer all your questions. The Drip Bar at Lansdowne Commons in Virginia Beach.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
Man, I wish I was out there. Let's unretire. Why not? Ready, Moss.
Dan Marino? You alright? Hey, Grandpa! Grandpa? I still got it. 22. 22.
Here we again, number 13.
Let's see. Hey. I need that senior discount. That's the game. Mr. Marino, you mind if I take a selfie? Thank you.
I'm good, right here, bro.
Unretirement? Who'd be dumb enough to do that?
Welcome back to 757 Sports Talk. No, it's not in the pool. It's Hatfield and Young at the PLEX, the Virginia Beach Sportsplex. Here are 2 guys that, even though they never shut up, they're always dropping pearls of wisdom, Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Back here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk with the Coach Ed Young. I am Matt Hatfield. Like, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Comment if you like. If you've got a question out there, you want to join the show, the link is available at the bottom of my Facebook page. We'll have an interview, as I mentioned, with Norma Hassel as well. If you missed yesterday's On the Hash with Hatfield podcast, we recorded a little bit later than usual. Final edition as the football season is coming to a close today. You can check it out on YouTube. We have some time to squeeze in a conversation I had with Larry Rabama from the Virginia Pilots and 517teams.com. Daily Press does a great job, and I know Ed's looking forward to getting him on this show on a Saturday as we move along into the winter time with basketball to pepper him with all kinds of hard-hitting questions because, I'm the one that asks the kid glove questions. Not like, what gloves do you get the kids for Christmas? But Ed wants to give them the, real hard-hitting questions. So there you have it. Oh, look who commented on the show. Speaking of great slate, Larry, look at this. Lynn Burke is with us. We missed you, Lynn, at State Championship Saturday, but we know you can interact with us from your lazy boy at the home there, as Mrs. Burke has you probably doing all the Christmas decorations and helping get the grandkids situated with what they need for their Christmas coming up and helping out Santa with some of those chores as well.
Yeah, that's right. Lynn, I could see Lynn decking the halls.
Yeah.
A lot of mistletoe in the Burke's house.
Oh, a lot of mistletoe. Okay.
Mistletoe. Yeah, don't let it fool you. There's a lot of mistletoe.
Were you smooching? I saw you smooching. I think of Home Alone when I hear the word smooching.
Hey, I watched Home Alone.
Was it Uncle Mo with the gimpy leg or something? What was it? That was a great little bit in that movie.
That's along with Christmas Vacation with the Griswolds. Those are my 3 go-to Christmas shows. We might have, as we get closer to Christmas, we might have to put up.
Oh, look at that comment! Look at that comment!
Won't need mistletoe. I tell you, Lynn Burke is something else.
Yeah.
Boy,
He's a
doesn't
wily
need
one.
mistletoe.
By the way, Bob is tuning in. All he wrote back was "gotcha." Bob, I don't know what you mean by "gotcha." He commented too on the show. So we got people interacting with us all on the comments. Some of them we don't show on the screen that are dirty or we can't show on the screen. But we show the ones we can that are clean. So keep it clean out there. PG, as Ed says, PG, not NC-17 or R-rated or even worse than that. But Ed, we got two options we can take here with this road. We're going to hear from Norman Hassel. We can hear from him first, then break down the state football championships. Or do you want to break down some of the state football championships and then hear from Norman Hassel before we go to break? Because we've also got to slide in some NFL picks today. We got a little factor fiction we're going to try to squeeze in as well. We might have some time for Larry's conversation for those that missed it yesterday. Where do you want to go as we move all this? Or do you want to get it out of your system, the rant about why was Florida State jilted and left out of the college football playoff? Because I know that's on your mind as well, and you want to get it off your chest, even though you're dead wrong. Go ahead.
No, it's this Saturday is really the number one story is state championship football. Okay. So let's dive into all that, and then we can do the tidbit stuff a little bit later, all the trimmings a little bit later.
Okay. Well, we've got Class 6 to Class 1. All 6 previews across the state are up on virginiapreps.com for subscribers, as yours truly, along with Robert Anderson and Will Garlick and Danny Lewis and Vincent Sidoti and Rodney Young, did these previews for you up on the website. You can see them for all you paying members of the site. You get the in-depth analysis, keys to victory, which I know Ed loves. And you can get our predictions, my picks and Ed's picks. Usually I brag about my picks being better than his, but he's got me right there nipping at my heels after I waxed him in the regular season. It's ours is even closer than what Marty and Larry's battle with the newspaper locally. But what game are you most fascinated by today? There's 6 of them. What game is the one that Ed Young's going to be bugging me because he's in the middle of a basketball game or he's in post game after his team won or lost and he's wanting to divert his attention? What's the game that you'll be most curious to find out the score about in the 6 championships we've got today? Which one?
Well, I want the local teams to all win. I'm a homer for the 757s, and I think a couple have a good chance. I think one, Lafayette, is up against it with Liberty Christian. But the one game that I really got to keep tabs of the score because they both can score even when they don't have the ball is Maury and Freedom. That one, and I see some of the people picking the games has Maury like 2-3 touchdown favorite. I don't know. I can't remember what I picked on that. I think it's going to be closer. Is it going to be 45-40? You don't usually see scores like that in state championship games. But both of those teams are extremely capable of putting tons of points on the board and have done it against everybody this year. So now they face each other, which leads you to believe whose defense is going to be better because that's the facet that has to be stopped. The defense has to stop that scoring offense. So I'm intrigued by that one the most.
Yeah, I picked that game as far as Freedom Highland Springs. I picked it, Freedom winning it 35-27. You took Highland Springs 32-30, as did Denny Lewis 38-34. Highland Springs runs the ball very well. 3,386 yards, 46 touchdowns with the trio of Eric Bird in the backfield, Jakari Henley, and then the quarterback who's going to Maryland and Christian Martin. But Ed, I would caution you that this Freedom team, which is putting up massive numbers again this year, they set the state scoring record a season ago. They're at 55.1 points per game on the season, 58 PPG in the playoffs alone. I would tell you that nobody has held them under 35. And as good as the Highland Springs defense is, I don't know if they're going to be able to stop Jeffrey Overton, who's got over 2,000 yards rushing. He put on a show in the state championship last year. He's gotten these playoffs alone. It's scary what he's done. I just don't know if Highland Springs will be able to bottle them up for 4 quarters. I think they will for stretches of this game, but for the entire game, it's hard for me to see it being done. And now, listen, if it's tight late, there are a lot of key guys for Freedom that go both ways, and that can be a factor. Overton and Cam Courtney, who's going to Indiana, and Aaron Duncan off the edge, who plays some tight end. So, there could be a little bit of a depth edge for Highland Springs, but I don't know if they're, I wish you could take a couple of those receivers they had on their first state title team at UVA, Greg Dortch, of my Arizona Cardinals and Kevon Wallace, because while Highland Springs is good at receiver, Freedom has 5 guys catching the football that have combined for over 200 receptions when you throw in Overton among those 5, with Juju Preston, who just committed to Clemson, Courtney, who I just talked about going to Indiana, and Aaron Duncan, and I'm leaving somebody out in that quintet. But they got 5 guys that can really, and it ain't the food chain, 5 guys that can do some damage. So, it's one of those things where they're really good. It's really good versus great, and I just think the really good is Highland Springs and the great today is Freedom. But in one game, 48 minutes of football, that can change. It can be the other way around, that Highland Springs is the great and Freedom's really good.
Yeah, and I got to clarify what I was saying. I have Maury on my mind, and I put Maury against Freedom in the game. They're obviously 2 different.
Well, but you're saying what Larry and I talked about last night. I think the takeaway from today could very well be if both were to win by wide margins, which is possible, which is conceivable, that you could have a Maury Freedom on the tongues of everybody. Like, why can't we get that matchup? And you can't get it, by the way.
No, I'm not going to get it.
That's what I'm thinking about.
The game, it's Highland Springs in the Freedom game that intrigued me the most. I stuck Maury in there. I think Maury.
I know what you meant. I just glossed over.
I think Maury will take care of Stonebridge fairly easy. I hate to overrun a Stonebridge team, and people looking at that 9-4 losses. That this Stonebridge team's a little different than they were at the beginning of the year. Right. But yes, Highland Springs and Freedom does intrigue me for the things that you say. They both can really put points on the board. They both have tremendous so-called skilled athletes, those receivers, those people that are handling the ball. That's why I'm saying 45-40 game is not impossible with those kind of teams, but you just don't see those kind of scores. But it will come down to which team's defense really that stands out the most to win the game. I don't think you're going to see a 14-7 game. I really don't. I think it's going to be some points on the board. It's just how many they go to.
As we get a comment from Dante Hall, Boxing Talk, Maury and Freedom have been the best 2 teams I've seen this year. Highland Springs good, but not as talented as some of his teams have been. I think that's spot on. I think Lauren Johnson's had I think the same is true for both him and Mickey Thompson. Now, I wrote this and I've said this on various podcasts and platforms. I want to get your take as a coach. If you're Lauren Johnson, Ed, and you're Mickey Thompson, Lauren of Highland Springs today, viewed as maybe a slight underdog in the Freedom game, though you and Danny are picking them to beat the Eagles out of Woodbridge. So I'm sure that will get revved up your selection, the Freedom fan base, as well as Daryl Overton and his staff and his kids. But who needs more of a change and alteration and maybe the game plan strategy for what the other team's explosiveness does? I feel like it's Mickey Thompson, and I feel like he has to go to almost that New York Giants blueprint that Bill Parcells used years ago in Super Bowl 25 against the Buffalo Bills. You remember with Jim Kelly and Thurman Thomas and Andre Reed, where he just played ball control, time of possession, had it like almost 45 to 15 in the minutes, and it kept the Bills off the field. They almost conceded to giving up the run plays, but it took away the big shots that Kelly had down the field to Reed, and I think the receiver was James Lofton at the time. But is it Mickey? Does he have to go to that type of script where he just tries to play a very methodical, lull you to sleep, bore you type of game, because Maury is so quick strike, although Freedom is the same way? And how do you get in the minds a little bit of the coaches in this game? And is there much tinkering or tweaking you have to do if you're Doreen McCain of Maury and then Daryl Overton of Freedom? No, what you're going up against, Stonebridge runs that very meticulous single wing, which can give defenses problems, although Maury's seen it before. I feel like the game plan's got to be really hit to a T if you're Stonebridge to stay in the game, or it could get away from them quickly because they've played teams of similar ilk, like you said, early in the year. The Quince Orchards, the Good Councils. A couple of those games were close. A couple of them got away fast. So if they're not careful, it feels like they could be playing uphill and it could be out of it right away.
Yeah, I think when you come into games of this nature, first of all, you're not going to do a lot of things that you haven't done all year. The old adage is that you do what got you here. You're in a state championship game. You're not going to change things. Again, these guys have been around a while. They have winning programs. There's a difference between winning program and winning teams. You can all of a sudden have a bunch of talent, i.e. recruit in a bunch of talent, win a lot of games, but you don't have a solid program. These guys have solid programs who happen to have some pretty doggone good athletes, next level athletes. So you've got to take advantage of what you have, your athletes. But when you play a high scoring team, Highland Springs is going to play Freedom. Stonebridge is going to play Maury. You got to know why they score so well. And if you're talking about 2-3 different ways of a lot of scoring, then you've got to have to kind of cut down on one of those and somewhat control the other. I don't think you stop everything unless you're that good. You have those kind of athletes everywhere, and then you can pretty much shut down anything they do. You're going to have to kind of pick what do they do really well, and how can we attack that? How can we slow that up, if not stop it? And then you have to make sure your offense, we go back to the offensive side, you're going to be able to move the football, move the basketball, move the football so you can do what you normally do in terms of your scoring. Now, there are a couple things come up their sleeve. I always believe coaches, especially football coaches, have some things that they have worked on during the season, may not have used them as much, weren't needed. And now this is the type of game where you need them. But I'm not real big on a lot of trick plays. As a famous Highland Springs basketball coach once said, I don't need tricky plays, I need tricky players. And I think these teams have those kind of players that can make those big plays. And that's what you got to see that's interesting. And one more final thing that's mentioned too is line play. What is the lines going to score a lot of points? I think you have to have a tremendous line that opens up holes, that protects the quarterback. And if that continues, yes, you're going to have headaches. But if your defensive line is raining down on you and making you look and making you hop and making you run, then that scoring opportunities are slim and none.
Tricky plays don't win games. Tricky players do.
Player.
George Lancaster.
The only one, George Lancaster.
Yeah. We got to get George on the podcast. Get from a golf course. I'm sure he'll come on. We used to him on the radio. I remember he came on a radio show after he retired from Highland Springs, and he came back, coached Bluestone girls and boys. He's just a living legend. He's as good as it gets. Yeah. By the way, you mentioned line play. Stonebridge got a 6'7" tackle by the name of Caden Zalacki, who's going to Morgan State. So they can get behind that hulking big O-line and do some wonders running the football. I just know the Mooring defense has pitched like 6-7 shutouts in the last 8-9 games, and they're not going to be, I would think, intimidated or afraid of that, and they'll be ready for a hunker down. And their offensive line, I think, is going to take – we've talked about it all year. Anytime you give Mooring any ammunition or motivation, you hear about, sort of almost the prove me wrong type of thing. Warwick Stevens, they heard about how great Warwick Stevens is. They said, all right, we'll show you. Heard about Indian River's defense, and the special team said, we'll block 2 punts on you. They answer the call. So I just feel like that offensive line with Christian Meatball Murphy, love that nickname. You got Joshua Bowe, and I'm going to leave out some linemen. I'll feel bad about it. Wynn and Centerland on that O-line. Those guys up front, they'll be hunkering down, ready to go to war here in battle. You mentioned trick plays. One of the things I did mention as we go to the Class 4 and Class 3 games today at Liberty University in Lynchburg that I do think is imperative. We both have Liberty Christian defeating Lafayette, and Andy Lynn's Rams are very, very good. The elephant in the room is Gideon Davidson, the running back for Liberty Christian, who is a 4-star by Rivals, number 4 running back in the country in the class of 2025. He's run for already this year, Edward, 2,450 yards on 40 touchdowns, which is very similar to what Jeff Overton's done at Freedom, though he's more of your speed back who can play in the slot. This kid's more of a beast with some breakaway speed to go with his power. We both got it pretty, I'd say one-sided. You got it 32-21, not as one-sided as me, 35-14. But one of the keys I did write in the preview is I do think, in addition to setting the edge with their defense, their outside guys like Peter Cook and Eric Celadon and Trip Hassel, they have to get some timely play action passes, and they got to steal a possession. So whether it is an onside kick or a fake punt, something of that nature, I think Lafayette's going to have to steal a possession when you play an offense as dynamic as Liberty Christians, which has been putting up, gobs and gobs of points, 45.8 per contest, which is right there in the ballpark. I mean, it's not in the ballpark of Maury and Freedom putting up almost 60 a game, but it's more than 6 touchdowns a game, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's the whole idea behind that. And that goes back to what I was saying. I think coaches have some things in their coaching repertoire that they've worked on and just haven't used it a whole lot during the season, and then need it for a game of this nature. With Lafayette, and again, I really hope Lafayette wins it, but Liberty Christian, so many athletes all over the place. Do you have enough guys to cover them? If you do, okay, you got a shot. But again, it goes into that line play is really big. You mentioned about a lot of these teams, big time defenses shutting out a lot of people. I wonder if that would be a great poll question. Will there be a shutout in a state playoff game of the 6 games of this today? I don't think there will be, but I'm just wondering if there could be.
Well, we can make it an instant question of the day if you like.
Well, if you say there is, what game do you think could be the possible shutout?
I would almost lend myself to believe it's one of the lower games like Class 1 or Class 2. Class 1 last week, Essex beat Alta Vista 16-8. So that could be the deal. And I'll be honest with you, the other one that comes to mind is Phoebus Salem. You say, hold on now. Salem had a running back in Peyton Lewis go for almost 400 yards last week, 370 on the ground, 4 touchdowns against Tuscarora. Yeah, I get that. And yeah, Phoebus did a couple of scores last week, but they remember they rallied in the fourth quarter to beat King George. I took King George. Ed took Phoebus. I was wrong. He was right. He'll gloat about it until he's wrong again, which will come in the next couple of hours.
No need for me to rub it in like you do when you win yours. I'm just saying.
All right. But Phoebus's defense has given up 44 points all year, and they don't mind playing a 6-0, 7-0, 10-2 game as they did with Warwick this year. So Ed Young wants to know, will there be a shutout in any of the VHSL State Football Championship games today? And as you ask that, you shall get your wish on the screen. And that's the question of the day. So let us know if you're watching out there. Comment. Let us know what you think. Will there be a shutout in any of the games? You posed the question. What about you? Do you think there will be one? You didn't pick any by any of your scores. I don't think there will be.
No, I don't. I really don't see one. I don't think at all. I think there's too many really strong offenses. But if you say to me, no, you've got to pick at least one, maybe. I could see Phoebus shutting out Salem.
You could. Okay. You could see that. Are you disrespecting the Salem offense?
No, I'm just going to lean very heavy on knowing what Phoebus is capable of doing and rising to the occasion. And my ignorance towards Salem that's my ignorance. But I believe if there was going to be one, and I don't think there will be, it would be Phoebus over Salem.
Okay. As we look at the other games, we mentioned Phoebus, Salem, and the Lafayette Liberty Christian. What would be the biggest shocker? We didn't even really touch on Riverheads and Radford. Riverhead's trying to go 8 times in a row as state champions, this time in Class 2. They won the last 7 in Class 1. Radford's got a quarterback in Landon Clark who is headed to Elon, who is mighty, mighty good. I don't think he's any small potatoes, if you will. If you're Riverheads in this game, can you just do what you do? And defensively, their secondary has sometimes been tested in big games. They haven't had it necessarily in the Class 1 level. This Radford offense, with Landon Clark. Listen to some of the numbers that Landon Clark has put up this year. Throwing the football, he has passed for 3,109 yards, 36 touchdowns. He's also got 25 touchdown runs. And then on defense, to top that all off, he's got like 5 pick sixes this year. So, you better watch out for this guy. And then, of course, Riverhead's counters with a guy that's got 103 touchdowns in his career in Triple C, Caden Cook Cash. As Robert Anderson wrote in our preview, Salem City might as well be known as the Triple C Ranch on the second Saturday in December. This guy's been there each of the last 4 years, and he's just been busting big runs and having his way.
Well, as they would say, he's money. In a way, he's cash, so he's money.
Oh, cash money. See what you did there?
I keep up with the kiddies lingo. When the kids say somebody is money, that means that you can bet on it. It's a good one. And this kid's cash money. That's even better. He's not credit money. He's cash money. But getting back to Radford Rivershead, the thing about with Rivershead, you talk about the quarterback, Clark, who can really throw it, and they can get that secondary tested. Again, up front, if you're raining down on him, on the quarterback, if you're making him scramble around, he doesn't have time to find his number 1 target, his number 2 target. That's how I think you control passing game. It's not so much you have great defenders in a defensive backfield that can really smother receivers that he can't find anybody. It's that upfront initial attack. If you can get in there and make him run all over the place, hit him hard and hit him often. Of course, nothing illegal. Then you got a shot at that. But if you do have a defensive backfield that plays like glue and they're all over those receivers, and no matter how much time he has, he can't find nobody, then you've done a job on that type of passing game.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, we've got another timeout to take. We'll come back with some more thoughts and give you a couple of picks in the championship games. We've got to get Ed's thoughts on the Alabama-Florida State situation. because I know he wants to unload on that as he shakes his head. We're going to also take the time out and then come back and hear from Norman Hassel from his castle, little Kellum Hoop sound. We'll squeeze in Factor Fiction if we can, possibly Larry Obama too, and NFL picks for week number 14, the league where they play for pay. It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk on this glorious Saturday. It's going to be in the 60s today, Ed, up in Charlottesville. I'm sure it's going to be rather warm and fairly toasty for all things considered. I just came from snow in Delaware, singing in the snow up there in Newark.
Not
But,
snow. It was
what's
flurry.
that?
You had flurries.
No, it was snowing. It was more than flurries.
It was not. Lord Jesus, we got to help this person. Flurries is that which floats around in the sky, and it basically, as soon as it hits the ground, it's gone. Those are called flurries. Like I said in my comment on Facebook, you young Southern pups, think that anything white from the sky is conducive for a blizzard.
Why am I a Southern punk? Because you're from Pennsylvania. And see what I can do right here. I can just mute your microphone. Look, he's muted, folks. You can't hear him. He can't talk anymore. He's muted. I've always wanted to do that. I couldn't do it on the radio controls, but I can do it here. Well, when it's cold outside, Ed, you got to get something to warm you up, bundle up, get some soup from our friends at Zoop. You'll hear from them and a couple others before we come back with Hassel at his castle. It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube page. We're streaming on the web, on X or Twitter at 757 Sports Talk, Facebook, VirginiaPreps.com, and as always on our Virginia Beach Sportsplex YouTube channel. Stay tuned for more of Hatfield, Young, and Vinny coming up.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship, and that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us, and the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
Cheeseburger lovers deal. 2 singles for $5 or 2 doubles for $7 for a limited time. So, how is it? Deal this good speaks for itself, I guess. DQ, happy tastes good.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
Yeah. All right, here with Killam head basketball coach Norman Hassel after his night's hard-fought win with the Green Run Stallions. They moved to 2-1 on the season, coach. I spoke with you in pregame. I know you guys had a heartbreaking loss to Kempsville Friday night. You were up 7 with a couple minutes to go. They beat you on a crazy tip-in. You played this team in double overtime here last year, lost at home. You're up 12. You lose the lead. Are you thinking, let's not have deja vu?
Deja vu from Friday. Yeah. I mean, forget last year. I'm thinking deja vu from Friday. But that's all part of growing up. So you just hope that while you're growing up, you don't throw these games away. You know, we want to grow up and learn and win instead of grow up, learn, and keep losing. Sure. So
before we get to the finish of the game, what allowed you to get the lead was you shot so well and moved the ball. I thought terrific in the first half. Had about 7 assists on your first 9-10 baskets, 13 of 22, I think it was at the break. What would you guys come out and try to establish to get some good looks?
Control. Like we wanted to control the pace. We don't want to get in an up and down. And sometimes we still took off and I'm like, why? Let's just break the press, set up, and run a set, a nice methodical set that makes them play defense for an extended period of time, and that'll help us get control of the game. And then let's hurry up and get back and make them play against our defense for an extended period of time, and that gives us control of the game.
You were up 12. It got down to 5 at the break. What'd you tell them in the locker room at halftime?
I'm not sure that's printable. Okay. But
without bleeps, I got it.
Yeah. It's all the same thing. It's just, why do we pick these moments right at the end of a quarter or game to speed things up? So I thought we learned that lesson against Kempsville. And to be honest, what I told them was, a wise man once said, what you don't learn from, you're destined to repeat. So if you want to feel like you felt last week, do it again. Do it again.
What's different about last year's game and this year's game is you have a freshman guard by the name of Trey Barnhart who's got ice water in the veins. He had a huge three. It's a 1-point game. Ordinarily, you probably say don't shoot that shot, but he seems like he's got that fearless mentality, right?
He is. He's a freshman, but he plays on the circuit, and so he's used to pressure. At his age level, people depend on him. He's a heads-up kid, and as much as he's a great basketball player, but an even better kid. Extremely coachable. I'm never going to tell Trey not to shoot. He's a great shooter. I got to give him the green light, or else I'll confuse him.
It's rare for you to throw a freshman out there to fire, but you did with Alex Etheridge. His backcourt mate who had a big game tonight as well. You've also got another good sounding board on your coaching staff with Trey Freeman now. How much does it help having those two guys around him to kind of pick their brains a little bit, or they can give him some advice amidst the fire, if you will?
Well, what happens, it takes the pressure off of Alex because he gets all the pressure last year, and then we went to Barrett a little bit last year. But it just frees Alex up a little bit more, and having Trey Freeman is just a culture change. I mean, everybody knows who he is. You get a pro come into your practice and start telling you things. The kids can't dispute that. They look at me and say, come on, man, you're like 100 years old, you're 300 pounds. You come out here and do what we do. And Trey would take the ball and say, listen, this is what I mean. You got to do it this way. And he gets on them. And so it's been a big, not a culture change, but like a culture shift. We're just much tougher. It's not even a bunch of X and O's. We always had the X and O's. He made us tougher.
The more for let you run. Obviously, you know that's an athletic team that's going to make a comeback, as Kenny Harris' Steins have done many years. Fourth quarter, it's wild, Coach. Have you ever been a part of a period where there was 5 technicals? But I felt like your kids fed off 5 technicals total. Yeah, but I felt like your kids fed off the energy of the student section in the crowd a little bit. Did you sense that as well amidst some of the zaniness?
Absolutely, and both teams, it was just a lot of excitement. I don't think anything was dirty or intentional. I have a lot of respect for Kenny and his program. It was just so exciting. Yeah. We got to remember, these are high school kids. They're high school kids, and they get out of control, and we just got to remember that. And I'm this older. I got my finger, and I'm tapping him in the head, and JT's like 6'7", so I poke him in the eye.
We got some good pictures, by the way.
Yeah, you got to think about this stuff. Yeah. You can't just do that, So we got to learn from that too. You can't let the emotion of the game get to be too much.
Besides Etheridge and Barnhart, Tyler Ellis made some big plays on the stretch, and Dalen Crawford 2 key free throws. He had some big shots from the perimeter as well. It feels like you told me this is one of your better teams. Could this be the team that has the most potential since that group with Trey and Ramon and Snowden, that company that made that run to the regionals at Scope? Does it have that type of ceiling in your eyes, possibly?
That type of ceiling, but I had a team that had Connor Campbell and Noah Singer and Chris Schultz and Jalen Craig and those guys, Janai Rayner Powell. That was a good team too. But yes, this team can do it. Dalen's one of our most athletic players, our best defender. We've got places to go. I don't feel like and then you got JT can come in and play with his brother, and they make a really good tandem. Tyler's tough as they come, and we're not backing down. We're not going to back down, but we also got to stay in control. That's what we're still learning in the young part of the season. Stay under control.
Well, congrats on the win. It was a fun one at Hassel's Castle. Thank you so much. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it.
All right, that was Kellam head basketball coach Norman Hassel with us after his team's win over Green Run earlier this week. It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Hatfield and Young at the Plex. Kellam looking like one of the better teams to watch out for in the Beach this year. Lansdowne still unbeaten, Ed. Kempsville beat the Knights on a tip-in last Friday. See, Kempsville beat Princess Anne last night. Green Run did respond with a 70-31 win over First Colonial. We'll talk a lot more hoops as we move it past state championship Saturday in the days and weeks to come, but a couple of good guards for him with Alex Etheridge as well as the freshman Trey Barnhart. We also caught up with them. You can watch that interview on my YouTube channel if you want to check that out as well. But your reaction to Hassel getting a win at his castle in a game that had some technicals in the fourth quarter, but it was nothing malicious. It was a good battle, fierce battle between Hassel's Knights and Harris' Stallions.
Well, I got tremendous respect for Norm. He's a super guy. I got nervous in this interview as I watched it. He was more animated than he's ever been in interviews. Norm doesn't like a lot of the lights put on him, but though he should. He just does one heck of a tremendous job. But when he threw those 2 fingers up with those hands, I skipped a breath. I thought for a second there, he was giving us the salute, but he wasn't using the index finger. But he did. He did use the index finger. So I'm okay with that now. But animated as he was, he threw a lot of things out there. He really divulged a lot of things about how he runs his program. and how in tune he is to his kids, and talking about poking them and all that, and he's very right about our high school kids, and you got to get them under control. Not to take away from his interview, but in my game last night, much more vocal than I've been in a long time, and it was
not you. You're a quiet guy.
Yeah, normally I am, but last night we did some things that got us a big lead, and then immediately did some things that allowed Lakeland to come right back, and we just, and it was like, it's the type of team where you almost have to coach every possession, and nobody will live long enough to be able to do that, because it's just it's too much. Literally after the game, I had to sit down in the locker room. A couple of my guys, coaches were thinking, "Hey man, you all right? Something wrong with you?" I just had to collect my thoughts because it was so wound up from the game in terms of, it is a rivalry game. So I felt that interview with Norm because I've been through that, and he just does a tremendous job. The thing about when you play a Norm Hassel team is they don't make a lot of mistakes, and they don't get riled very easy. No. So if you're in their face, raw, crazy type of pressing, they usually just boom, shift it, bring it back to the other side, reverse it, penetrate. And now that he's got something like Trey Freeman, and it's funny when Norm said, they look at you as some old 100-year-old 300-pounder, you can't really do it, so why are you telling us? Well, that's the idea of a coach. We're going to tell you because we've been already through it and done it. Sometimes in practice, I'll take the ball when my frustrations come out, and I'll show them exactly what I want. Not at the speed they're capable of, and I'll always end it with, now do what I just did, but do it at your speed, not my speed.
We say hello to Woodrow Wagner out there who's watching the show. Also, we mentioned Bob Lanham tuning in. He brought up something we talked about last night on our On the Hash with Hatfield podcast. Manchester coach did step down. Tom Hall, almost 200 wins. Kyle Simmons stepping down at Westfield. Only one change in the 757 right now. Jamestown's job is open, which is not a shocker. They gave up 104 points in a playoff game to Phoebus. They shouldn't have been in the playoffs to begin with at 1-9, but that's not the kids' fault. It's the system's fault. Nonetheless, there will be more coaching changes that open up. I don't think Tom Hall is going to be done entirely from coaching. I hope he's not. Same thing for Kyle Simmons. And we don't have as many dinosaurs anymore as Ed Young, who's been doing this for, since the beginning of the 1900s. So we do want to keep him around as long as we can.
1907, I think I got into this.
1907 when you started? Wow.
Yeah, and I'm telling you, most of these young guys won't last. You won't last in the business now. It's too different. If you're putting your heart and soul into it, and it's a year round, it's 12 months a year job. So these guys that are coaching 2 and 3 sports, I don't know how you're doing it. I couldn't do it. It's going to be – they're going to be tested.
Hey, before we get to our conversation with Larry Obama last night, as well as the Fact or Fiction special guest and NFL picks for today, I do want to get – and we'll get back to the high school football, we promise here. Ed, you were very upset last week when Florida State did not get revealed as a top 4 team. And this goes back to the thing of, as we see some of the bowl games coming up, we'll have a list of more bowl games on next week's show and maybe make some bowl picks on some of the bigger games. This does get back to the more deserving team or the best team. You can argue Florida State deserves to go. But I would pose this question to you. They're undefeated. I get it. Alabama has 1 loss. What's Florida State's best win this year? What's their best win?
You're going to waste time.
No. I'm asking you a question. What is their best win?
It doesn't matter.
No, it does matter. Who was their best win?
They're undefeated, a Power 5 conference. They've done everything they're supposed to do. And championships are for the best teams.
And Alabama's better.
Yeah, you could easily say if they go on the field.
So what if we have 5 Power 5 undefeated teams? You got to leave one home. Which one are you leaving home? You're leaving home if you had, let's say all 5 leagues have it. Who are you leaving home? Their best win, though, you probably agree, is LSU, right? Good win. Beginning of the year, right? Good win. LSU, right?
Yeah, it was early in the year when LSU.
It was a good win.
Actually, right, it is. And LSU was considered maybe a potential national champion.
Absolutely. With a Heisman guy and Jaden Daniels, who's going to probably win the award tonight or certainly finish in the top 2, 3, 4.
Penix got it from Washington.
Probably Michael Penix, yeah. So he might be runner up to Penix. But here's the point. So that was LSU. Good win. That's their best win. That's not even Alabama's best win. Maybe not even their second best win. They beat Georgia, reigning 2-time champ, 29-game winning streak. And it's nothing that Florida State did wrong. It's what Alabama did do. They achieved something better. And sometimes a team just does something that trumps that. And beating Georgia trump that. You can't leave, to me, a team that good. If they play tomorrow on a neutral field, you're picking Bama. And you know you are. It's unfortunate for the kids because the system, listen, it's happened in college basketball. Kenyon Martin got hurt. The committee dropped Cincinnati from a 1 seed to a 2 seed. This is reality. This is a television show. It happens. You're hurt for the Florida State kids that their starting quarterback went down. He was a Heisman candidate as well in Jordan Travis. But the reality of the situation is they're not what they were 2-3 weeks ago, and they don't want a repeat of of Georgia TCU. Now, TCU beat Michigan, but then they played Georgia and got completely throttled in the game. And you're the same guy who made fun of me when Hawaii went to the Sugar Bowl, and I was campaigning for Hawaii to play for the championship game with Colt Brennan, the late, great Colt Brennan, and they got tattooed in that game. And you say, come on, Matt, Florida State, Hawaii. But the ACC, let's just call it like it is. The ACC is not the same league the SEC is. And if you put Florida State in the SEC, they have 2-3 losses, case closed.
There, no question. The SEC is the best football conference in the country. The rest are third, fourth, fifth. There's nobody even second behind them. That's how strong they are. But once again, when you start your season, the idea is to win all of your games to put yourself in a position to be in contention for a national title.
They did that.
Florida State did what you're supposed to do. Right. Alabama, you
did
lost
better.
to Texas.
They did better.
Therefore, Alabama should not be in it. I'm sorry. I feel for those kids. I feel for the strong SEC.
Tell him, Woodrow, he's wrong.
And Florida State deserves the spot over Alabama, period. When you look at pure sense of what a national title is, Florida State did everything they're supposed to do. They got robbed, period. Bama is tremendous. They've done everything except one time they lost to Texas. That one time in this type of season tripped you up. So Alabama, you should be playing whoever in the Tostito Bowl for whatever. That's just the way it is. Nobody's conversation talk will sway me because I'm going by
because you're stubborn. You're stubborn.
No, I'm going by the pure sense of what a title's for. Now, you want to talk injury. All their quarterbacks hurt, so they probably have no chance to win a game.
Nobody's going to have a chance.
Did they win some games without him?
Now you're going to say they struggled against the one AA team without him.
They didn't beat anybody. But again,
trust me, I know about that game. I was watching that game closely for other reasons.
No, you need to mute your mic now. Where's my power? Where's my button to mute that mic?
Go ahead, mute it. Go ahead.
No, but you have to give them the opportunity to play for a national title because they did everything. So you're going to tell that team, hey guys, your best player, your quarterback's not playing, so you're not good enough to not even, you can't even compete for it now. So even all those guys busted their butt and did what they're supposed to, they're not good at it. You can't do that. Now,
yes, you
if you really want to get to the issue of the whole problem, it's the system that's flawed. And next year we won't have this argument. They should have had more teams in this than four. And again, I know they locked into 4 because football is a different animal than basketball. You in the middle of basketball season, you can say, hey, instead of 68, we're going to take 72, and nobody would miss a beat. You can't do that in football because of schedules and whatever else, and who's available, the fields that are available, and all that. I get all that, but again, for my final rant, Florida State got screwed in the sense of what you're supposed to put in there for playing for a national title.
Well, that's
remember a couple of years ago, was it 3 years ago? Central Florida, 11-0, 10-0, 12-0, and everybody laughed and said they don't belong in there. And I remember saying to myself, yeah, they kind of don't belong in there, but they're undefeated.
Right.
And then people said, well, look, it's a weak schedule. But you can't chastise Florida State for being in the ACC. They're in the ACC. Now, you want to pull them out next year and put them in the SEC? Let's see what they do. Like everybody else jumping around, fine. But they haven't declared for that. But I just think based on what the system is supposed to do, find you a national champion. Then you say, well, we got to have good entertainment on TV, sponsorship. I get all that too. But now you're distorting what the original intent is. You do what you're supposed to do to get a chance to play for national title. Undefeated in a Power 5 conference, and you want it, is doing what you're supposed to do. I end my rant.
They did what they were supposed to do, but I'd said it to you from the jump street, is that it's nothing they did wrong. It's what Alabama did. If Auburn stops them on 4th and goal from the 31, we're not having this conversation. Case closed. And Woodrow and Jack are both right. The moral is we need 12 teams. We're going to get that. I do think 8 would have been the better number than 12. I think 8. That's another argument. So you're with me on that point. We would have had Ohio State, Oregon, Florida State, and Georgia. Those 4 could easily beat these 4 in front of us. And bottom line, Ed, here, and yes, you feel for the kids. They had a deserving year. The ACC is just weak. It's not the SEC. And you're down 13-0 to North Alabama in the first quarter. I'm sorry, you're not Alabama at this point, in my eyes. They play tomorrow. They're an underdog by 10, 12 points. That means nothing, obviously, because Washington turned around as a double-digit dog and beat Oregon for a second time. But we'll get it all fixed as we move forward. We have state championships today. You and I are differing on our picks when it comes to Class 1. You're taking Essex. I am taking, however, Galax, and in Class 2, you're taking Riverheads. I'm taking Radford. We both have Phoebus winning. We both have Liberty Christian winning. We both have Maury winning. He's going Highland Springs. I'm going Freedom. We'll take a timeout. Who's Larry Obama got in these games coming up for the state championship? So hear his conversation for about 15, 20 minutes. Then we have Fact or Fiction, NFL picks, and we'll be off by 10 as we talk to you from the Plex. It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk. Stay tuned. Let's hear some more from our great sponsors at the Plex.
Every year, thousands of athletes disappear in clutch moments due to falling hydration levels.
I used to go missing all the time. I let everyone down. I even let Shannon Sharp down.
Yeah, you let me down. They've been told how you feel yourself doesn't matter. That electrolytes are all the same. Then just like that, they're gone. Get yourself back in the game. Get yourself a Gatorade. Could be the difference between dominating and disappearing. Gatorade, rehydrate, replenish, refuel.
As a banker at Town Bank, we believe that people bank with people, not with banks. You're looking for an actual personal relationship, and that's what you get at our bank. You get that person that gets to know you, gets to know your business, is there for you. I think that is what motivates us, what drives us, and the idea that we are trying to serve others and enrich lives, I think is very true.
Treat yourself to a visit to the Drip Bar IV Hydration and Vitamin Therapy in Virginia Beach. Boost your immunity, increase your energy, and promote anti-aging with our personalized treatments designed to ensure efficient nutrition absorption to rejuvenate your mind and body. Come see our chic and relaxing day spa for yourself today. We welcome walk-ins and appointments. Our medical professionals will help you achieve your best health and answer all your questions. The Drip Bar at Lansdowne Commons in Virginia Beach.
Even thought about, you know who I'm buying gifts for, man. It's just it's busy time. You know, as we talked before, man, that overlap between football and basketball. Basketball coaches are saying, "Are you coming to my games?" I said, "Look, I'm still got football." You know, and they don't realize how busy it is.
Listen, Larry, I made the dreaded mistake, although it was kind of worth it. I went from the Maury Indian River game we were both at in the state semis in the rain last Saturday at Powhatan Field to a basketball event at Princess Anne. I got home that night. I fell asleep. I don't even remember where I fell asleep at. It was on the couch, on the bed, the recliner. It might have been on the floor for all I know. I was just participate the next morning. And then I have my 7-year-old niece tugging, and I see you with the wife on Facebook with the grandkids. They're wanting to, do Christmas decorations and put this on the TV. And I'm like, I'm done today. I can't move.
She gave me some energy because I just seen her face. I had to do it, man. I had to do it for her, but I got the energy, and I felt she gave me some energy, so it was good. It was good.
Let's dive into these our family life and Christmas decorations, all that babble, because We've got some exciting matchups across the entire state of Virginia, all 6 championship games, which we'll have scrolling across our ticker, the scores from last week, as well as the matchups on deck for University of Virginia coming up on Saturday, Liberty, as well as out in Salem. But let's start with, I think, the giant matchup that people are looking forward to, Chapter 3 of the Maury-Stonebridge side. Now, we saw the one in 2019 where the Commodores got out to the big lead, a couple of touchdowns by Keandre Lambert-Smith, who's now at Penn State. Stonebridge came roaring back. Commodores held them off. A couple of years ago, it was a Heartbreak Hotel for Maury. They had a lead in that game. The last 5 minutes, Jacob Thomas throws 2 touchdown passes, one of which went to Zeke Wimbush, which made SportsCenter on the final play of the game. As you look at this matchup for Chapter 3, I don't want to make the folks from Nova mad, but I've kind of gone out publicly and said, I'm not sure it's going to be that close this time. I just look at Maury, and they look like a machine. And the offense, I compare them a little bit to, Larry, you watched a lot of great football, is they remind me a little bit of that 2008 Oscar Smith offense that had Philip Sims and Perry Jones, but they might have more weapons than that offense, which is saying something because that offense was loaded with Tim Smith and a bunch of receivers.
Yeah, I think that team had 4 guys that went Division I at wide receiver. I mean, and a great quarterback, a great running back. And I agree with you, Matt. It's like they're so talented. My only fear is because Maury has not seen an offense like this, you wonder how it's going to take them time to kind of adjust. But DeRee knows how to do that. Privet knows how to do that. They know how to adjust. But that's my only concern. And I think it'll be coming in the paper tomorrow. I think I picked Maury by 3 touchdowns. But it's the fear factor because, Mickey, their coach, Stonebridge coach, has been there for a long time. Mickey Thompson has been there, done it many, many times. But I know that Maury wants this one bad. They want it really, really bad. And I believe they're going to do it. I really do. I believe they're going to do it.
I think so too, Larry. And you bring up Mickey Thompson, what a great coach he is. Doree McCain's done a wonderful job at Maury. The thing that jumps out at me about this game, you bring up that offense, which is very difficult to deal with, the single wing. They had a special player at quarterback in Jacob Thomas a couple years ago. Now they have Brendan Pena, who's good, but I don't think they have that scary guy on offense, whereas Maury has more of your scary guys. It's obviously a very fundamentally disciplined attack. But when you look at this game, I think the misconception is that Maury's all throw. The last 2 meetings, they've actually outgained Stonebridge in rushing, whereas Stonebridge has had more passing in these matchups. What do you think about sort of the backs for Maury real quickly against that Stonebridge defense? I think they can stay pretty balanced. How about you?
I do too. I missed part of you cut out, but when you're talking about Maury's running backs, they got 3 running backs. One that went over 1,000 yards, 2 that went over 800 yards. They got a quick one. They got a one that's kind of like a little power one. I think having those 3 different options is going to keep Stonebridge on their toes. And then of course you got 5 wide receivers. They got 20 or more catches, led by LeBron Bond, who has over 1,000 yards. I just think their offense. Who you gonna try to stop? You can't stop 1. You can't stop 2. You can't stop 3. They got so many different weapons, and I think that's going to be the key for Maury. And then, of course, Torrey has been playing fantastic. He can throw the ball, but he's also a dangerous runner, and I think that's going to also play an impact. If they try to stop the rushing game, he can. The passing game, he can just go back, look for his holes, and take off. And he's over 4,000 all-purpose yards. It's been a long time since we've seen that.
Yeah, I think we have to commend both these teams for the schedules they play, Larry, because not only did Maury play Highland Springs and Dinwiddie and Wise and Doree McCain beat up the schedule, but look at Mickey Thompson's first 4 games. He played Good Counsel, which you know a little bit about.
Yeah, a little bit about them. Yeah.
Madison. He played some heavy hitters. Martinsburg out of West Virginia. Quince Orchard.
Which won the state title? Yeah, they won the state title, right?
They were looking at it when they looked in August, September. They had an idea they would see each other again. It's been every couple of years, and here we are again.
And I agree totally. I remember talking to Doree when he said, "Man, I'm gonna do." He told me the schedule, and then don't forget they also scrimmaged Gonzaga and Phoebus. So he knew that he wanted to have these guys ready. I got a story that's going to be running in tomorrow's paper that's talking about the seniors and how he really wants this for the seniors. They've been there. They went through COVID. They lost the last 2 times in the state finals, including that one on the last second pass. And he really wants it for them, and they want it. They want it really bad. And I think that's going to, I just think I can't see Maury losing this game. I really can't, but it's going to be a good one, man. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it as well. I'll have the call on the NFHS Network along with Andy Hayes there at UVA, and Larry will have all the coverage for you with the great folks from the Pilot, 757teams.com, Daily Press as well, and I'll follow them on Twitter or X at LH Obama for Larry and 757 Teams, TEAMZ. Larry, before we move off this game, what's the one matchup you're most curious about? Is it an individual, receiver versus defensive back? Is it the pass rush getting to Torrey Newkirk if Stonebridge can get him off his game? The Maury offense trying to to run the ball, or maybe like you said, that defense against the single wing? What's the one or two matchups that you're most intrigued about in this game?
The two that I'm looking at is one. Is Morey able to adapt to that Stonebridge offense? It's different. We don't see, like I said, we don't see teams out here running that. And Morey's done a good job stopping everybody else. The only team I thought that had an interesting offense was Dinwiddie. So, but that's going to be the key. And then I just think also Stonebridge is big. And on the defensive line, and how is Morey's offensive line going to be able to battle against them? They're the ones that make them go. That offensive line, we had a story in today's paper about them that they've been geared for this. And the one thing that they've done that they didn't do 2 years ago when they played against Stonebridge is now they got an offensive line, they got a defensive line. Nobody's going both ways. I think that's a huge key for Morey. They're not going to get tired like they did when they played Stonebridge a while back. And I think, that's key. When you have a team that gets worn down like that, by the third and fourth quarter, the other team is just running all over them. But I think with Morey, I'm really interested to see how Morey's offensive line will do against Stonebridge defensive line.
Is that the common thread, Larry, for whatever team it is comes out of the 7-5-7, whether it be, in this case, Morey, Lake Taylor over the years, Oscar Smith, you look at some of the beach schools like Ocean Lakes and Bayside in recent years, Western Branch last year made it to a state semifinal. If you don't have linemen that can go, I guess depth on the trenches, you can't stop some of these big boys from Nova or even be other parts of the state, Richmond, Roanoke for that matter. Is that pretty much what it boils down to in your eyes?
I think so. The team I'll never forget, I remember when my son played for Bayside and they beat Oscar Smith in that region final. And then they played, I think it was Hermitage. And they were in the game with Hermitage for a half, but that third, fourth quarter, they just got worn out. And that's why it's so important. You think about you've been playing since August. Your body's gonna get tired. And then you add in the enthusiasm, the adrenaline that you have from a football game like a state championship. All that wears on you too. So that's what I think the key is that offensive and defensive line. And when I talked to the Morris coaches, the one thing they said was being able to have an offensive line and a defensive line was the biggest thing they knew. And they realized they learned that from the last time when they lost to Stonebridge in the final.
I've said earlier on the pod, Larry, I'm going to see if you feel before we get to the Phoebus and Lafayette games, that I feel like and this is no slight to Highland Springs or Stonebridge, which are great teams, but I think our takeaway coming out of UVA Saturday could be, man, I wish we could have gotten a Morey Freedom matchup, just because Freedom's offense is putting up over 60 a game. They set the state record last year, and Morey's at about 58, 59 a game. Wouldn't that be a dream matchup if we already had the cross brackets to get the two teams from the state semis we thought we'd have now in the state finals in Class 6 with Freedom Highland Springs, but wouldn't it be such a delight if we had a Morey Freedom State Championship matchup, and perhaps in the future, because these two teams are loaded with a bunch of good juniors?
I would love to see, man. I'm telling you, look, man, they can have us all come back again the following week and go back up to Virginia. They can play the game then, right? What's
we'll play basketball for more weeks. Why not? Who cares? It's all right.
Exactly. We're still in 2023, so let them go ahead and play that game. But no, I agree. That's what everybody's gonna be saying when we leave that game on Saturday. Everybody's gonna be saying, man, what happened if those two teams played against each other? So.
And listen, we can have Highland Springs and Stonebridge play each other. They played some great games.
That would be a good one too.
They went to overtime a couple years ago. Well, we can have that. It doesn't have to even be a consolation game. You can just have two redo championships if you want.
I would like that. I like that.
Yeah. How about Phoebus here? You've seen Phoebus. You and Marty O'Brien have covered them from wall to wall here. Their defense is unreal. That Warwick game. all the talk was about the Warwick defense, which, by the way, Morey heard about that, and they got a little motivated by that in their regional championship.
A little bit.
Yeah, just a tad, just a pinch. But my goodness, that defensive front is ferocious. I think they've given up 44 points on the year. Think back to some of the great defenses you've covered over the years. There's been a bunch of them. Oscar Smith's had some.
Oscar Smith had one. Right.
The Hampton legendary 90s run. Their defense, if they finish this off on Saturday against Salem, which, by the way, has a running back going to Tennessee and Peyton Lewis, who had almost 400 yards in the game last week, which is insane. They've got two All-Americans, and Chris Cole going to Georgia at linebacker, Peyton Lewis going to Tennessee. But it feels like nobody on this side of the state, other side of the state, they might feel this way, that nobody thinks Phoebus is going to lose this game. How about you?
I don't think they are either. Even though the one thing that did concern me early on was the fact that when their quarterback went down, but that freshman came in and they haven't missed a beat. But that with Stevenson and Reddick, and then you got all the other guys at linebacker. Their defense. Blunt has those guys playing, and they realize we can't let this be the year that Phoebus loses, and I believe that's how they're playing it. They are really, really strong. When I saw them play the game against Warwick, very few. Warwick couldn't do much against them. I think it was maybe the third or fourth quarter when they started to move the ball a little bit. But they're tough. They are really tough, and they know they're no nonsense as well. They're going to stop whatever you can do. If you can pass it, we're going to show you how to shut down the pass. You're going to run the ball, we're going to shut down the middle. And I think I like Phoebus' chances. I really do.
Yeah, their roots were laid by the late, great Bill D., who obviously coached Oscar Smith before he passed away, and then Stan Sexton carried it on, and Jeremy Blunt, who played for Coach D, now trying to go for a three-peat, which is so hard to do, 34 straight wins. And I was thinking about this the other day because someone brought it up to me, Larry. I can't even recall, even when they've played Oscar Smith and teams, on the other side of the water, I can't recall even anybody that they've had success with them, but running the ball on them, A, and then B, you never think of Phoebus with even all the great players they've produced. Taj Boyd was a great quarterback.
Yeah.
Sean Alston, this receiver, this playmaker, that guy. You don't think of them being a flashy, explosive offense. It's just workmanlike and old school football, right?
Ground it out. Grind it out, run it. Throw a little pass here and there, run it again. They always got 2 or 3 running backs who don't mind doing it. And then it comes down to field position. They seem to find a way to be able to get you, have to punt the ball to them, and they get the ball around midfield, and then that's when the offense attacks. As I watched that game against Warwick, I just kept thinking, as anybody, when I made the prediction, I was like, I can't believe I said it was going to be like 21 points for one and 14 for the other. I don't know what I was thinking with those two defenses like that, but Phoebus, they, like I said, they get locked in and they get the job done. They might give up a little play here and there, but they find a way to be able to shut it down.
Well, I don't know about you. I was jealous of my guy Will Garlick, maybe like you were of Marty, that we were at the Maury 55-0 shellacking of Indian River. They got to see the great game that was 13-12 going into the fourth quarter. And you think, well, how's that a great game? And you people say, oh, it was so physical and tough. There was 2 safeties. There was 2 field goals. There was a punt return for a score. They still play an exciting brand of football, even though it's different than maybe what people have become accustomed to over the years with, say, Oscar Smith's offense in the 2000s when Lansdowne had Percy Harvin under Chris Beatty.
Right.
And the aired out attacks that Maury's now got with Drew McCain leading the way in this Artori Newkirk, who's certainly looking like a player of the year candidate, not just at the regional and district level, perhaps in the state if he gets it done on Saturday. But they're a different type of team, yet they play an intense brand of football.
They do, and again, I know just like with Maury, they kind of feed off of Dree and the other coaches' persona. It seems like Phoebus does the same thing. You see how intentional Blunt is. You see how direct he is, and that's how they play as a defense. They dare you to do something, and then the thing is, can you adjust to what they do? I just like the way the intensity they come with it when they play.
They've got a swagger, and they've got monikers and nicknames just like Maury does and Lake Tedder with Hank Sawyer's teams do. They we heard the Salem defense call their defense the Black D. I think they're called the Black Ops or the Phoebus defensive guys.
I did see it. Yeah.
They've used. As we move to the Lafayette game, so you're picking Phoebus in that one, correct?
Yes, I am. Yep.
As am I. I took the bait against King George last week, and I was burned. I'll admit it. I was right for 3 quarters. I even told Mike Privet last week on the sideline after the Maury game. He was like, oh, he's going to give the Phoebus people, as he didn't love him from his playing days at Lake Terrace, a hard time. But obviously, nice rally for Jeremy Blunt's team to get it done against the Fox's team with 2 great receivers and Mekhi White going to Maryland and Chance Wiggins headed to Virginia Tech. How about Lafayette? This was like the hardest team in the 7-5-7 to get it done. Andy Lynn's had a great year. They took out Lake Taylor and Heritage decisively in the region semis and finals. Got it done in the state semis against Brentsville District on the road. But this Liberty Christian team is no joke. They got a running back going to Clemson, and it could be the first private school to win a VHSL Public School State Football Championship.
On top of that, well, the one thing is, like I said, Lafayette has had a great season. One of the things I thought, we thought that it might be a rebuilding season when the season first began, and it hasn't been. They've been able to keep rolling. But the thing about this one is, not only are they playing against a tough opponent, but it's basically a home game for Liberty Christian. They're playing in their backyard, and I think that's going to have a huge effect because you have all those home people that are able to come see the game, sleep in your own bed, all those different types of things that definitely play a part, especially in a game that's going to be very emotional. And just like you said, I saw the roster, I saw what they've done this year. Liberty Christian, they look tough. I think I'm picking Liberty Christian because the game is at Liberty. I just feel that as great a season Lafayette has had, I think it comes to an end on Saturday.
Yeah, I think, and talking about Marty too, I think the offensive line for Lafayette averages just under 200 pounds. I think in a lot of ways, this is no slight to them. This is a kudos. I think they've overachieved for what they've had. Injuries. Exactly. You get to this level, you're playing in Liberties. I said backyard today. They said backyard. It's their front yard. They played basically on the surface. So it's like a home game for them, a home away from their home field.
Yeah. And that makes a huge difference. I mean, you're traveling, you're coming up from driving up there, and you're excited, but they're a familiar surroundings, familiar atmosphere. That plays a huge part.
Yeah, I think if they got in front, it feels like the two games where I don't even know if the Maury-Stonebridge game, the lead matters early for those two teams because they've both been able to show them the ability to come back. But I feel like if you're going to beat Phoebus, you have to get in front. And if you're Lafayette, if you're going to win this game, you've got to get an early lead and play that wing tee smash mouth football against Liberty Christian and dare them to throw like Phoebus did a couple years ago when they got interceptions and held them off at the end.
Right, and you got to, as every coach says, you look for those big plays, a play here, play there. You got to have something that goes your way to kind of turn the momentum towards you, and they got to take that crowd out of the game. So they need to jump on them early, and then just maintain as you keep going through. So I'm not saying that Lafayette can't win, that's for sure, but I just feel like being that the game is being played in Liberty, it's like you said, it's a home game for them.
Yeah, it really is. I'll get you on this one. We appreciate the time here. I could talk with you all day, and I'll see you up at UVA on Saturday. Larry, tell the folks what they can find on the paper and online for your work for the state championships. And I can't tell you how many times I get tapped. This is football, and this is a compliment to you and your team over there. They tap me and they say, hey, when's all Tidewater coming out for football and basketball? You got to ask Obama. I said, I'm not the one doing that. So tell the folks, give me an ETA. You don't have to give them the exact day and hour, but give them an idea when it'll be out in the paper, how they can find it and get their copy of that for the fall sports and football.
Yeah, I believe it's going to be around Christmas time. I know, in fact, we'll be doing the voting coming up. We've done a little bit already. I believe it's Christmas time, around that time, and they try to make it a big time. But it would definitely be this month. Looking forward to it. People don't realize, I see all these guys who make the all-region and all-state teams. We're now dealing with teams in 5 different divisions, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then, of course, in 5, you got 2 regions. So just keep looking at 757 teams. Follow me as well as LH Rubama. And the other thing I'll do too is when we LH Rubama. Well, I'll be putting out different stuff when it looks like we're gonna have it, so I can get people to start looking towards it. But I've told a lot of kids have told me, we care about all Tidewater instead of all state, and I'm like, man, I appreciate that. But it's a very hard team to pick, especially now the fact that we're picking not only on the south side but also the north side as well on the peninsula, and it makes it a very, very tough choices to make. But I enjoy it, and like you, Matt, you and I both do this. We try to get the recognition to the kids, man. They work so hard as well as the coaches, and we do it for them. And believe me, I could care less about me, but it's about the kids.
Absolutely. You do a fantastic job with it. And it's a badge of honor for those that make it. I know a lot of coaches say that they remember when they were all Tidewater. I've run into all different football coaches and basketball coaches that we've covered now. We feel like old men. I mean, I just got to give you a funny one, Larry, before I let you on. I got the other day, I don't even know this. I saw it on Facebook. Ramon Snowden, who we covered at Kellogg's, now the girls basketball coach at Cox. I'm like, how old am I? I remember when he was an 8th grader. I feel like, that made me feel anxious when I heard that just the other day. So, I mean, but it's true. And it's all you hear about usually is the ones that they say were the snubs. You never hear about, oh, yeah, you got that one right, or that was a good call.
Right. No, yeah.
That's how it always is with these teams, but we all do it for the kids' sake, for sure.
That's what we do it for, and I remember when I was in high school, and I remember the different teams that they had, and it's an honor to be able to be named to these types of teams. And so we don't take it lightly. We don't take it lightly at all. So we make sure we try to put everything we can into it.
Awesome work. That's Larry Rubama from the Virginian Pilot Daily Press, 757teams.com. Find him online at pilotonline.com as well. He'll have coverage for you at the State Football Championships. Safe travels to Charlottesville, my friend. I'll see you there, and we'll talk again soon.
Yep. Sounds good. You be safe as well, Matt. You take care. Get some rest. I know that's an oxymoron, but get some rest.
Yeah, I'll do that maybe come Monday when I end up passing out on the floor somewhere with my niece jumping on me and needing to go to school or something. But that is the one and only Larry Rubama. We'll come back with more here to put the finishing touches on this edition of On the Hash with Hatfield. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, whether you're watching on Twitter, Facebook, Virginia Preps. And, of course, we've got more to come your way, and we'll hear from our sponsors right now at the PLEX. Stay tuned.
At CHKD, sports medicine is more than just treating injuries. It's a whole team approach to caring for young athletes. With experienced physicians, surgeons, trainers, and rehab specialists here when kids and teens need them most. Our experts help young athletes prevent injuries too, with advanced training and conditioning programs that keep them in the game safely. CHKD Sports Medicine, where kids are more than patients and we're more than a hospital.
Well, it's everybody's favorite time of year again. Time to prepare to make your annual donation to that infernal revenue service. And if you're like me, you need help. Help to keep that donation as small as possible. So get off your W-2 and call John Maynard at John's Tax Service. 455-6763.
And now back to Matthew Hatfield and that evil basketball coach. Blast you, Ed Young!
And welcome back to 757 Saturday Sports Talk with the coach, Ed Young. I am Matt Hatfield. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Last two segments of today's program. Ed, are you ready to play fact or fiction against a surprise guest before we do our NFL picks?
Well, I always have to preface this by saying my opponent is always prepped to what the questions will be.
Not true.
I have a pretty good record against those odds, but yeah, I without any information at my hand, I am ready to roll.
Do you know who your guest is today?
No, I don't. I'm intrigued because you didn't usually you tell me who it's going to be.
Who would you like it to be? Would you like it to be Marilyn Monroe? Would you like it to be Karl Malone? Would you like it to be Kurt Warner, an area coach like Norman Hassel or Kenneth Harris or Doreen McCain? He's got a state championship game today. Shonda Bailey, former coach like Josh Worrell you used to go up against. Do you have a pick who you'd like to go up against, or are you just going to take whatever we give you?
Yeah, I'll give some coaches speak. We take one day at a time. I'm not afraid of anybody. When I'm on my game, we can beat anybody. So bring them.
All right, bring them. We bring in class of 1977 from James Madison University. He comes into the piano bar. Look at that. Mike Hatfield. Good afternoon. Good morning, sir. How are you?
The hat is in the building. The hat is in the building. Now, this is going to be interesting. I'm excited.
Let's get a little closer here as we.
Hey, preface. I want no JMU, no questions. No.
Oh, well, too late. We've got one of those already on the program here. So here's our first question.
Fixed. I claim
here we go. First question, as we'll shuffle these down. He has not seen these questions, as I'm going to show them to you now here. First question, we'll let DJ Hat go first. Mike Hatfield, the top 5 teams in the NFL in terms of sacks made by their defense are from the AFC. Is that a fact or is that fiction?
I'm going to say it's a fact.
All right. He says it's a fact. How about you, Coach Young? Is that a fact? Top 5 teams in terms of sacks in the NFL are AFC teams.
I'm going to, just for the sake of being different, I'm going to say, what did Mike say?
You said fact.
I said fact, Coach.
I'll go fiction.
Ed says fiction. Mike Hatfield says fact. Score on for the JMU alum today. 1-0. DJ Hat's in the lead. Let's go to question number 2. All right. Question number 2 on fact or fiction. Another NFL question, Dad. We'll let Ed go first, though. The Dallas Cowboys lead all NFC teams in terms of total yardage per game so far in the 2023 season. Ed, NFC, not AFC. This is not the entire NFL, but NFC. Is that a fact, Ed, or is that fiction, Coach Young?
Oh, I think I heard this on the broadcast the other night, but I didn't pay attention.
This is his way to stall and have someone look it up for him. You see?
Yeah, he's got hand signals going over there.
I gotta get Vinny to look it up. Vinny's got to look this up. Give me fact.
All right, he says it's a fact. How about you, Mike Hatfield? Pops, is this a fact that the Dallas Cowboys lead all NFC teams in total yards per game? All NFC teams. He says it's a fact. Do you agree with Coach, or do you think it's fiction?
I don't want to disagree with the coach and say fiction.
He says it's fiction, and believe it or not, 380.4 total yards per game is a lot for the Dallas Cowboys, who have the Eagles this weekend. But it's actually fiction. The Detroit Lions at 420.6, so another gamble pays off for DJ Hat, 2-0. Mike Hatfield is kicking tail here, and he gets to go first for question number 3, and it's going to shift to the NBA, his favorite sport. Tyrese Halliburton, who I know you love, of the NBA's Indiana Pacers, has had double-digit assists in every game this season. He needs league assists, but he's had 10 or more in every game. Is that a fact, or is that fiction?
I'm going to say it's fiction because he's got double digits in rebounds and points, but I'm not so sure about the assists.
Well, you think rebounds? I'm not sure about the rebounds there. But what about you, Ed? Are you using his logic and agreeing, or are you going to disagree and say it is a fact? He has had double-digit assists in every game so far this season.
Fiction.
What was that answer? You said fiction?
Fiction.
All right. Ed says fiction. You say fiction. You're both correct. So you each get a point. Ed's on the board. However, he trails 3-1. This is an important question here, Coach, before we get to the bonus 2-point question. Very important question. You're up first, Coach. James Madison is currently leading all Division I men's college basketball teams in the country in scoring offense. Is that a fact, Ed Young, or is that fiction?
Oh, Lord. All Division I men's college basketball teams in the scoring offense. Is it points per game?
That would be correct. That's what scoring offense is. Catches on fast, doesn't he?
Yeah. I can't see this as doing. I can't see them doing it. Everything points to fiction. If I say fiction, the hat's taking fact. I already know that. I'm taking fiction.
He says fiction. What about you, Dad?
I'm going to have to agree with you, Coach.
Wow, you're not going to say it's a fact?
Don't believe it.
I got news for both of you folks. Even the proud JMU alum sitting next to me in this wonderful hotel we're staying. Look at that. It's got a piano and everything. Fireplace. I mean, it's great. It's actually a fact. JMU leads the nation in scoring 95.4 points per game. Alabama at 94.1. Trust me, I got the book far away. He can't see it, by the way.
I can't, Coach.
He can't. He's trying to cheat, though, but I keep slapping his hand.
Deny that.
He's trying to cheat. He's trying to cheat.
I won't deny
Can't
it.
cheat. Alabama.
I thought it was Alabama.
Behind JMU. How about JMU leading the country in scoring? And it's a whiteout tonight at Chartway Arena in Norfolk. Ed, JMU visiting Old Dominion.
Wow, 95 points there. Old Dominion got their hands full. I thought it was Alabama because I heard one of the broadcasts. I remember somebody saying Alabama up there in points. I don't remember them saying JMU, but you got it.
There you go. The Dukes have been scoring at a high clip. Going to be a good one for the Dukes and ODU tonight. And our last question on fact or fiction. Fact or fiction, bonus question. We have to make Mike Hatfield go first or he could just copy you. Matt Hatfield did not eat breakfast with his dad this morning. He was busy working. Did he set the waffle maker on fire at the hotel he's staying at in Charlottesville for the VHSL State Football Championship? As they both shake their head.
No fire alarm.
How about you, Ed?
Well, he's the one who would know it. I would think.
Came close.
He made a point. He made a very good point.
Came very close, though.
If I go the same, I automatically lose. So I'm going to say, yeah, Hatfield set the whole Charlottesville on fire.
Well, it didn't happen.
I disagree. It did not happen.
All right. Well, he's going to go off. Mike Hatfield has some business to attend to today. I have a state championship game to call. He's going to go take a spin in the Toyota Camry that he loves so much. Good seeing you, Dad.
Yeah. Buy a Toyota.
It's his new favorite car. Another story for another time. We will take a time out. We've got NFL picks coming up with the coach, Ed Young. I'm Matt Hatfield. That was Fact or Fiction. One more segment to do on this edition of 757 Saturday Sports Talk right here on our Virginia Beach Sportsplex YouTube channel. Like, share, and subscribe. We're streaming all the time online at virginiapreps.com as well. And now this from some of our sponsors at the PLEX.
I grew up here. I know this town. I know the people here. More important, they know me. As a banker at Town Bank, we become part of the communities we serve. The people who bank with us, our members, know us. When you bank with Town Bank, you'll know your banker. You'll know you can reach us, and you'll know we're here for you.
That's the DQ Cheeseburger Lovers Deal. 2 singles for $5 or 2 doubles for $7 for a limited time. So, how is it? Deal this good speaks for itself, I guess. DQ, happy tastes good.
Treat yourself to a visit to the Drip Bar IV Hydration and Vitamin Therapy in Virginia Beach. Boost your immunity, increase your energy, and promote anti-aging with our personalized treatments designed to ensure efficient nutrition absorption to rejuvenate your mind and body. Come see our chic and relaxing day spa for yourself today. We welcome walk-ins and appointments. Our medical professionals will help you achieve your best health and answer all your questions. The Drip Bar at Lansdowne Commons in Virginia Beach.
This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Corso, that's his name, Corso.
And we're back here at 757 Saturday Sports Talk with the coach, Ed Young. I am Matt Hatfield. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube page. And as always, we want to Encourage you to tell your friends, your neighbors' friends as we talk everything sports with you out there in the 757 Commonwealth of VA and beyond. Ed, are you ready for some NFL picks on this glorious Saturday in December?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm coming off a 3-0 week. Let's see if I can keep it going. Actually, 6 in a row. Let's see what I can do this week.
You had to remind me about 6-0. Well, you get to go first for your picks. We can flash the standings on the screen. I hate doing this.
Please flash.
Why don't you read them since you want to just gloat in your glory here? Go ahead.
We got Young and Elite at 22 and 15 and 2. The 2 pushes we don't talk about. Hatfield has dove down into second at 20, 18 and 1. And Bruce is on his heels. Bruce Pearl at 19, 19 and 1 at the 500 mark. So you're not going to make a lot of money if you follow our predictions, but you'll have some fun with it. Bruce Pearl going to go this week. He's got what? San Francisco minus 2.5, and Cincinnati minus 2.5. Cincy is playing who this week?
The Cincinnati Bengals. They're mean and angry, and they are on the docket against. That's a great question. They play this week. I think it's Jacksonville, right?
Indianapolis.
Oh, it's Indianapolis? That's right. They're playing. Jacksonville just played Cincinnati, of course. There's my.
They got Indianapolis this week. They're minus 2.5. Yep. He's going with the Bengals. That's a good pick. San Francisco minus 13. Minus 13. Who are they playing? Seattle. They're giving San Francisco. Woo. That's a tough one. But it is in San Francisco. And my Raiders, he's taking them +3 over Minnesota in Vegas. Nice pick, Bruce. That's some good picks there. San Francisco minus 13. I don't know. I don't want to touch that one.
All right, well, you're up first. Where are you going with your first selection, sir?
I'm going to go with. Oh, I had it. Now I'm lost myself on it. I'm going to go with. No, I can't. I'm going to change that one. I'm going over. I'm going to go for an over. Rams, Baltimore, 40.
Really? Over the 40 is your selection. All right. I'm surprised at that.
I'm going to say 42 points in that game.
Wow. I'm surprised you like that as an over. I mean, I'm stunned. You've got me speechless over here. It wasn't what I was looking at, but you're going with an over-under, huh?
Yeah, but now you're starting to scare me.
By the way, you said you're going over 40. I could be a generous guy and give you over 39.5, but you want 40, so.
I'll take the 30. Well, you know what? Yeah, give me 39.5. I was going to go
sure. Yeah, it's not going to matter because you'll get 40
points. Actually, that was not going to be my first pick. I just found out what my first pick.
You're playing strategy now. You got a lead. You can play. You can play ball security and protect over there. You're excited because you got the lead. I did like Ravens minus 7.5, but I'm going to pass on that over. And I'm going to go to the Atlanta Falcons minus the 2.5 against the Yucks, otherwise known as the Tampa Bay Bucks. They're at home. They need this game to win the NFC South. They're the better football team. Doesn't matter who's at quarterback, whether it's Ritter or Heineke. They just are a better football team, and I think they'll use the running game, play pretty good defense against a Bucks team that doesn't have much offensively outside of Mike Evans. Give me Falcons minus 2.5 for pick number 1. Pick number 2, I'm looking hard at Buffalo. I think they will beat KC on the road. Yeah, you heard me say that, so I'm giving Ed a cookie if he wants to take it. But give me Miami. They smash people at home. They're playing somebody that's not really that good in Tennessee. 13.5 is a big, big number. I don't care. It's a 2-touchdown win minimum. This will, I think, look a lot like that Carolina game. They got down early, then they breezed away past the Panthers. Tua and Tyreek Hill, who should be up for MVP, did visit the Sportsplex in the summer. We did interview him. We're going to go with the Dolphins, the Fins, as they chase the number 1 seed in the AFC. Pick number 2. I got one more to go, but Ed's got the next 2. The floor is yours, sir.
Tampa Bay Atlanta is one I wanted. I was trying to hide that, but you took it. Give me Detroit over Chicago. I see Chicago's giving +3. Give me Detroit. And second pick, give me New Orleans -6 against Carolina.
The Lions -3, Saints -5.5.
I'll take
your 2 picks. You said 6, or do you want 5.5?
Give me 5.5.
All right. My last pick. Tell you what, I'm looking at 2 overs here. Texans, Jets over 32.5. Colts, Bengals over 43.5. I'm going to consult my consultant over here. Mr. Hatfield, should I go with the over in the Colts, Bengals game or the over in the Texans, Jets game? Stay here.
Texans, Jets.
He says take the Texans, Jets as an over. It's 2-0 total at 32.5.
Good pick.
I think Houston can score 24 by themselves. I just don't know if the Jets can score 10 by themselves. I'll take it. So again, recap: over Texans, Jets 32.5, Dolphins minus 13.5, Falcons minus 2.5 for me. Ed Young has got Saints minus the 5.5. He's also got on his picks Lions minus the 3 and over 39.5 for the Rams and the Ravens. And you see Bruce's picks: Bengals minus 2.5, Niners minus 13, Vegas plus the 3. Ed, it was fun. Enjoy your state championship Saturday. I'm off to UVA to call some championship games. We'll see if the 757 brings home some winners or will other teams get it done.
Keep me up to date on what's going on. I've got some hoop action to take care of today.
That's the coach, Ed Young. I'm Matt Hatfield. We thank you for tuning in to 757 Saturday Sports Talk. It's always archived and available on our YouTube channel. Like, share, and subscribe to the Virginia Beach Sportsplex. And enjoy your Saturday, everyone. Talk to you next time in December. Getting closer to Christmas time.